Hey Scott, how you doing? Okay. Oh, you do have a PNG. That's awesome. Let me just go ahead and download that. The reason I'm doing this, Scott, is because I don't want to get. Okay. I want to download this image so that we can open it and look at it because I don't want you to get dizzy because scrolling up and down like this because the image is a little bit long for the opening in the window here. So let's just go ahead and take a look. Okay, that's exactly what I want right there. All right, the Depatova. Now listen, I'm going to tell you something. As soon as I opened this, I'm immediately knew it was a European designer. And I think that it's really, really interesting when you start developing your eye for design. You'll start noticing difference between European designers. Korean designers have a really unique approach. But in general, European designers are more minimalist, and they're much more show much more propensity to use expeditious white space, and we see that definitely here. And I'm wondering, why that is the case, and maybe you can chime in on this. Is why is it that the American designers are less prone to use white space and less prone to use this type of really alternative layout? I could see this as an American company being completely centered. And I'm wondering what you think is the reasoning behind that. It's really interesting. I'd love to do a study to kind of uncover some of the reasons why Europeans are. I'm sure it goes back to design school in Europe as opposed to design school in the United States, and what is emphasized there in what students seem to retain the most. So interesting stuff. All right, so this ad, yes, definitely pure asymmetry, no question. Let's see, asymmetrical makes negative space. I love the negative space in this piece. I love it. I just think it's so effective. I'm a minimalist as a designer, so I use a lot of negative space, but I don't use it as leftover space, and that's something really important to keep in mind about negative space. We don't use negative space as leftover space. We use negative space as a design element. It's really important to keep that in mind when you're designing. Try to use it as a design element and not just leftover space. The company of the red, which creates a nice contrast. I agree. Yeah, it's a beautiful ad. There's no question. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, I do have a couple of interesting notions here that I want you to think about. Okay, number one, take a look at the background. This is four columns right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, do you think it's any coincidence that this table is placed right here? No, it's not. It's by design. And the reason being is this designer is taking the foreground and using elements from the background. 1, 2, 3, 4. Note the couch. 1, 2, 3. And then we add the fourth section by adding that little coffee table there. So we get this nice mimicry here between the bookshelf in the background and the couch with the table next to it. Another thing I think is really interesting is if you take a look at these lines right here, these are actually grid lines. So cool, isn't it? These are the actual grid lines of the poster itself. I've never seen this done before where the actual parts of the poster, imagery in the poster is the actual grid. So we can see that right here. I mean, I'm not going to say it's exact, but sure, right here, this right here, if we take a straight edge, let me see if I can find my straight edge. Let me just do this. Okay, I'm going to use this as a straight edge. We're going to take this and we're going to see, there, we align it right there. We can see, yes, there's that grid line right there. We take the right side, align it to the D. Wow, magical. There's that grid line, right? And then so we can see that this would fit into the grid. The actual width of the couch pillows would fit in there. So it's gridded out beautifully, although it doesn't look like it, right? So it's just a really a fantastic job. I think it's a really good choice. So excellent job defining the characteristics associated with this particular composition. Now, one thing I would like you to address is this. My question is this: is we talked about placement on the vertical plane. Let's look about that horizontal plane. Why do you think this is where it's at? Okay, why is it higher in the composition? Why isn't it lower in the composition? And that's the question I'd like you to address in response to my comments. Okay, great job, Scott. Thank you very much.